and welcome to The Curse is Real, a Once Upon a Time podcast. We are Once Upon a Time fans, and today we will be discussing episodes 16 and 17 of Season 1. And also, just a disclaimer, there will be some profanity, so if you're sensitive to some fucking swearing, that's too bad. My name is Katie, and I'm here with...
John?
Jesse.
We need to come up with an official order for this.
Come on, Mike.
Jesse.
Martin.
And Martin is not here because he has to take a little break for a bit because he has a lot of work to do.
I'll be
so
Martin for
it's
the
just
episode,
us.
so that's okay.
Yes, Mike can be Martin this week.
And crumpets.
All right, shall we get right down to it? Start with the news.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Alright, so there's some more stuff that's been leaked about Season 2 coming out next in just a few weeks. First, Episode 4 has been confirmed to be a Rumpelstiltskin-centric episode. It's apparently titled The Crocodile, which seems to confirm the rumor that this is also introducing Hook, which I'm interested to see how Hook and Rumpelstiltskin will be...
Rumpelstiltskin is the crocodile. Just calling it right now. He bites his hand off.
Yeah.
They're in the middle of having some weird freaky sex, and he just bites his hand off.
Oh, God.
This is my ship.
Oh, and then episode 5 is probably going to be a Dr. Whale-centric episode. That's not confirmed, but he interacts a lot with the other characters in the stills that have, or not the stills, the photos that have been leaked online. So I guess that's when we find out how much of a villain he really is.
Oh, he's totally the villain.
Yeah.
He is the biggest, baddest.
I think he's also involved with the whole Rumpelstiltskin and Captain Hook sex scene there as well. He's probably just like in the background,
footage.
like yes.
Checking out their asses. That's what he's doing.
Just like Dr.
He's the one with the video camera.
Yes. And then
There always has to be some...
video cameras in Fairy Tale Land, huh?
Yes.
Well, maybe
Okay.
it's
Magic.
you know, hey, how else are they gonna record their porn?
That's true. He's
Right.
he's furiously
Pinocchio can draw
transcribing
pictures of it.
Yeah, he's furiously transcribing it as it happens. Oh dear.
Invested in your pants.
Jorge Garcia, who's another actor from Lost. There's been a lot of actors from Lost in this show. He's been cast as the giant, presumably for Jack and the Beanstalk.
He's gonna be yelling
and then
about
Jesse,
the
I think you were the one who said that you thought he was going to be the Beanstalk. Am I right?
I was being mean. It was a joke. I'm not a mean person. Mike is
okay.
this is
We
rubbing off
just
on
know you're
me,
jealous
and
of
I've
tall
absorbed it.
people. Jesse's jealous of tall people because she's short.
I'm so short.
True.
There's a brand new promo. It shows just a little bit of new footage. It shows Julianne Morris and Sarah Bolgers as Prince Philip and Aurora, respectively, but not much more than that. There isn't really a lot of new footage from Season 2 being shown in promos at all. Then this was pretty interesting. And Mike, I'm pretty sure that you wanted to say like something about it to explain it, because for those of us who aren't Lost, savvy, apparently the storyline may not stay in the same linear format as the flashback storybook format, because it's been like, the flashbacks aren't linear themselves, but they go along with the storybook story, which is a linear story. And there's rumor of a Lost type of twist to that. So go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so the way that the format of Lost kind of worked is that you had the main storyline, which was linear for the most part, and it started with the plane crash where they all, arrive on the island, and it went from there. And then throughout each episode, you would get flashbacks to their lives before the crash. So one episode would be centric on one character, and you would flash back to see, how they got to where they got on the airplane, and you get more of an insight into their character and stuff like that. Lost was very character based, so certain episodes would focus on characters and stuff like that, and very similar actually to Once Upon a Time, if you've noticed, where we focus on certain characters sometimes. Yeah. And after a couple of seasons, they started changing that up, where instead of doing flashbacks, they started doing flash forwards, where you would start seeing snippets of the future, so you'd know where they get but not how. And it was really, disorientating and stuff like that, but it was interesting. And then they even had some stuff where they would do flash sideways, which is you would see the same events that you've already seen, but in an alternate universe.
Whoa.
And yes, that kind of thing. So they liked playing around with that format and stuff, but it is very similar to Once Upon a Time in that they've got two storylines kind of going, one that's linear, one that's not so linear. So for them to be changing that kind of thing up doesn't surprise me because that's what they did with Lost. But with Lost, they pretty consistently kept the main storyline linear. And I think that if they don't do that for Once Upon a Time, if they make it non-linear, if they make the main storyline non-linear,
That'd be
might be a little
confusing.
too disorientating. Yeah.
Disorientating. I like that. That's funny.
What?
Disorienting.
Disorientating. Yeah.
No.
Shut up! Shut up!
You funny words.
You funny words.
That is regardless.
Do not
It's
say
irregardless.
irregardless. I will kill you.
That is
I just
regardless.
said it's gonna do.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you for that.
I'm
It's
just
not
saying.
a word. Do not ever use it as a word.
Irregardless of your threat, I ain't gonna not say it.
Anyway, yeah, I agree. I would think that they would keep the main storyline most, I guess, linear as possible because I really can't see how it would make any kind of sense otherwise, especially because they've specifically said that going into season 2 they wanted to make sure that new viewers weren't completely like gone and like lost and everything, so they
Lost.
probably won't do that. LOL, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I mean, there have been all kinds of rumors on the internet, but they're just too hard to
Yeah,
believe.
the two shows do follow a very similar format, and I know, like for instance, Katie, a lot of the draw of this show is the fairy tale stuff, so you wouldn't necessarily enjoy Lost, even though it's a similar format. But hey, you might. So
Okay.
I can't believe I'm advocating for people watching Lost. I really am taking over for Martin this
Yeah,
episode.
you're doing a much better job.
Wow.
And tea and crumpets.
Yes, tea and crumpets. And what else could I add there?
References.
Union
Cheerio.
Jack. Union Jack.
Union
That's a
Jack.
thing. I know that now.
Okay, continuing. Once Upon a Time Season 1 is officially out on DVD and Blu-ray, and I have a copy in the mail coming to me. I'm excited. So go buy that, or not buy that, I don't know, but I'm excited for all the behind-the-scenes stuff especially. Most of it's on YouTube, but I want to see it in like pretty HD and stuff, so I'm being good. Then we have seen a first photo of Jamie Chung as Mulan in battle armor.
I mean, Mulan.
Yes.
Mulan just has to be our name for her, just like Super
Yes,
Pumpkin.
Mulantahantas, like Super Pumpkin and
is canon.
Mulantahantas. Curse's real canon, Mulantahantas.
Yes.
Apparently, her storyline might be that she meets up with Prince Philip as he searches for Aurora, and while she's on her own journey, and she ends up helping him, which could be pretty neat. It could be kind of weird. I don't know.
As long as there's no love triangle with Sleeping Beauty and Mulantahantas.
Yeah, no thanks.
Please, no, we had enough.
That would kind of like really hurt the original like character that Mulan is drawn from anyway, because she wasn't really there was a little bit of romance in the movie and like in the story, but like
Well,
not
because they
a
had
whole
to,
lot.
really.
Yeah. So
Disney movie.
yeah. More tidbits. It is confirmed that we will learn the identity of Henry's father this season.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Henry's killer.
Damn it! I'm
And then,
psyched.
Yeah, well, that might be season 3.
Hey.
Then
Well, we know the real
episode-
killer's going to be Mike, so
Mike
Martin,
and Dr. Whale.
actually. I was
Martin
speaking
and
for him
Dr. Whale,
again.
yes.
I was speaking for him again. Also, I spell the word favorite with a U in there. That's me, Martin,
Because British.
because I'm British. Also, honor.
Honor. In episode 2, we'll find out how Regina met Rumpelstiltskin and how she learned magic. And that's the episode that young Snow and Cora her mom were seen filming too. So that should be a really neat episode. I'm really looking forward
I
to that
wonder
one.
maybe if she
Oh, yeah.
trained Regina in magic rather than Regina stealing.
Maybe.
As
I
long
don't
as there's
know.
more Bailey Madison,
Or
I'll
maybe
fucking watch it.
Rumpelstiltskin trained Regina, and then she killed her mom.
There's a lot of
Well,
tension there. I would feel like that's
it could
maybe.
also be that, okay, just a thought. This is a little out there. Rumpelstiltskin, or I should say, the Dark One, passes his power by having someone kill the previous Dark One, which the only way you can do that is with the dagger. At least the only way they've revealed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What if Cora has a similar curse type thing? Regina kills her somehow, out of anger or out of vengeance or something,
Revenge.
and gains her dark power.
Yeah, that's what I
Interesting.
said
And
some time ago.
that's why we'll get to this, when Snow is going to kill Regina, there's a similar warning.
Huh.
Mhm.
That would be.
Yeah.
That'd be. Yeah, that's a good idea. That'd be cool.
Hmm.
I wonder if we'll find this out in that episode, or if that's going to be a later one. But there's a very strong fan theory that Cora is the Miller's daughter from the original Rumpelstiltskin story, because there was a throwaway line in episode 18 that she was the daughter of a Miller, and and Regina's last name is Mills, for another thing. But and it's it could be a coincidence, but it would be really interesting if Cora was the first person Rumpelstiltskin sort of helped out for in exchange for a price or something. I don't know. It would be kind of neat,
Mhm.
because she's old
Yeah,
enough
that'd be
where.
different.
Yeah, I mean, because
It wouldn't
she's
be the
old enough
first time
where
that they
she would-
merged fairy tales or parts of the fairy tales in some way. So
No,
Yeah.
it wouldn't. And the timeline is certainly long enough given Rumpelstiltskin's run.
Yeah. So I would really like to see if that's the case, and I'll actually be a little disappointed if it isn't, because I feel like it could work really well. But that's just me. And then just a last little tidbit that's kind of interesting. Once Upon a Time fans.co.uk interviewed the show's creators, Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, and I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet. I keep meaning to and I keep forgetting. But they do pretty decent interviews, I think, with the actors and whatnot, so that should be a good thing to check out. And that's about all the news that I've got.
I'm okay
All
with
right,
that.
Jesse, do you want to go to the YouTube comments?
Alrighty. First comment. I honestly don't think that the blue fairy is evil or anything. I was watching another YouTube video on a Once Upon a Time recap where she is more of a being who prefers things to be perfectly good and sees black and white, while most of us human beings see things in shades of gray. Shades of gray. Basically, that YouTuber stated that she sees this as being good and this as being evil, and if it's not good or perfect, then it's entirely evil and evil needs to go away. Which I agree with.
That's kind of an interesting. That's interesting. I didn't think of that at all.
I'm not sure if I completely agree with it. I mean, I get the sense that the blue fairy can see the shades of gray, and she understands them, and she just doesn't care. She has her agenda and her beliefs, and well, if you're against her, she's gonna nudge you, then poke you, then prod you, and then step it up from there to get you to move in her direction.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she considers herself, I'm always doing good, that's what I do. But it's one of those, you start drifting towards doing evil in the name of good. I mean, she's not there yet, but sometimes it just seems like her attitude kind of drifts away from the noble, pure mindset.
Yeah, and we also find out that, like, in the Rumpelstiltskin episode coming up, that she's been around longer than Rumpel's been the Dark One. She's been around for a long time.
Yep.
So I think because she's essentially immortal.
Well,
And she's
probably.
been because the blue fairy has been known for much longer. So she probably has like the kind of arrogance she has because she is such like a powerful force of good, I suppose. Except that she can kind of have questionable intentions. But it kind of seems that way with Rumpelstiltskin too. I mean, like he's obviously dark and she's supposed to be a force of good, but he doesn't work for anybody but his own agenda, and it kind of seems like neither does she. So
Yeah.
except she's more, you know, more of a people person than Rumpelstiltskin generally is.
Well, I want to see in season 2 how she acts in Storybrooke.
Yeah.
Because we already know how Rumple acts because, hey, he never forgot. But
Mm-hmm.
she did. How does she act
Well,
now?
there are some people who don't think she forgot.
Yeah, she was a little bit
Yeah.
sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, if they go that route, it it certainly feels plausible, but they never really did anything to outright imply it either.
Mm-hmm.
So, it seems reasonable to assume she did forget until they play the no, she didn't card.
Okay. Yeah, it could go either way, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went that route.
Yeah, it won't surprise me either.
Mm-hmm.
And I would find it kind of amusing.
Yeah, that she didn't get involved in any of Storybrooke's affairs, even when everything started changing until now.
Yep. Well, she knew Emma. She knew eventually
Yeah,
that would happen.
true.
You know? So they could totally play that. And I think it would be absolutely hilarious. I can just picture this scene in my mind. She comes along and goes, something to the effect of, Regina, I've been watching you for 28 years and you're still a horrible person. And,
Mm-hmm.
Regina throwing her hands up and going, well, did anyone forget in this stupid town? And storming off.
That would actually be kind of funny. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, though. Jesse,
Yeah.
how about the other comment?
Alrighty. There's some blanks in Red-Handed. How does Red go and slaughter after they've shut down the cottage? If she can get out, why do it? Wouldn't the cottage be wrecked? And why wouldn't she attack Granny since she attacked Peter? Also, why did they all run when the hunters were coming? The hunters don't know that the wolf is half human, and why did Granny stay? P.S. I particularly like the title. 1, for Red's backstory. 2, Mary's kind of been caught red-handed thanks to those fingerprints. I didn't connect that. That's fun.
Yeah. I think, well, I have an answer for, like, the first bit. She seems to have returned human before she gets back to the cottage every time and has no memory. She always goes out into the wild first, it seems, without the cloak on, and then turns. So, it's totally plausible that part of her, like, curse or whatever,
Is
she
real.
gets out through her window. What?
Part of your
The curse.
part of her curse is real.
LOL,
That-
yes. She climbs out her window, and they didn't seem that she barred her bedroom window the same way. Like, she had shutters and everything that she could lock, but she could easily unlock them. It didn't, put a battering ram in front of them like they did in the main room. And, Granny stayed inside. And I'm sure Granny stayed, and I actually wonder if Granny stayed, awake and in the foyer of her house with the crossbow in case Red came home as a wolf. And maybe
Yeah.
and she said she knew that the silver-tipped arrow would at least bring Red down, probably from her own days as, a wolf herself and Red's mother. But at the same time, maybe she's had to use it on Red, and we just don't know.
All right, so
that-
shall we go on to the synopses?
I think so. And I believe I'm starting us off with episode 16, Heart of Darkness, Fairy Tale Land. So, Charming and Red are sitting by a campfire at night when George's men find them. And this is the scene that we were talking about that could have been a repeat, but I'm definitely sure from seeing it this time that it's a completely different scene, not an extension of the older one.
Agreed.
Yeah. Red tells Charming to run while she gives him a head start. It's a full moon, and she removes her cloak and attacks as the wolf, and lets Charming run away. And then it cuts to snow with Such a great setup, in my opinion. She hums a little tune, which is actually with a smile and a song from Disney's Snow White, and calls a bird to her, and everything seems all happy. And then she tries killing it with the broom, and she chases it around the room, and trying to catch it and kill it. And Grumpy comes in and asks what she's doing. She says she's trying to get rid of vermin, and her overall attitude is extremely hostile and snarky. And when she goes into dinner, the dwarves are there with Jiminy Cricket, and they try to talk to her about the change that drinking the potion has wrought on her, the potion that Rumpelstiltskin gave her to forget about Charming.
Yeah, I
And
like the little
after-
intervention they have. It's like, Snow, you
Yeah.
have a problem.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I don't have a problem. It's all snarky with them.
It's not your
Um,
fault, Snow.
Yeah. And then she goes into a rant about what the queen has done to her and her family. And Jiminy says it's understandable that she's angry, but it's not fair to take it out on her friends. And Snow's like, well, you're right. I'm going to take it out on the queen. I'm going to go kill her now. Bye. And they're like, no, but that's not what we meant. But it's too late. She leaves. And later on, she sets a trap to capture one of the queen's soldiers, knocking him off his horse. And I think she breaks his leg with a pickaxe that she takes from the dwarves' house, and interrogates him, and talk about Jack Bauer style.
Where's my
he tells her-
family?
Yeah. It'll heal eventually. He tells her that the queen will be going to the summer palace in the morning, and then she knocks him out and takes his armor, his clothing, and his sword, just about everything else. And Grumpy shows up and tries to talk her out of going to the summer palace herself because he says it's impossible. And he says he wants to bring her to Rumpelstiltskin, and Snow agrees only because he says that he can do anything because he's the most powerful being in the world. The next morning, Charming encounters the guard that Snow attacked, walking around naked, and learns what happened from him. And then it cuts to Rumpelstiltskin's place, and Rumpelstiltskin tells Grumpy that, of course, taking away love changed Snow, and there's no way to change her back. And even he can't bottle true love, and you see that he has a shelf of different things that he's apparently bottled, and there's an empty spot where love could be. Rumple then says that he knows Snow doesn't care about that, and asks what she really wants, and she says she wants to kill the queen. And Rumple gives her a bow and arrow, telling her where a good vantage point is on the queen's path, and that the arrow will get her what she needs, and it never misses its target. And Snow asks what his price is, and he just says that he's invested in her future. Then later on, Charming goes to see Rumple and demands to know about Snow and what he did. Rumple tells him about the potion that she drank, and that it can be broken with true love's kiss. And then Rumple taunts Charming about not knowing where she is, getting him to ask him what his price is for telling him. And Rumple asks for his cloak. And with one of my favorite exchanges, personally. Rumple gives him a map, a similar map to what he gave to Snow, and tells him where she is, and says that if he doesn't prevent her from killing the queen, she'll become evil herself, as evil isn't born, it's made, which is an interesting theme of this episode.
Yeah.
And then later on, Snow is in the woods preparing her bow, and Charming grabs her from behind and kisses her, but she shoves him away, causing him to hit his head and fall unconscious, and doesn't remember who he is, so clearly True Love's kiss didn't work. Charming awakens, he's been tied to a tree. He tries to tell Snow that they love each other, but Snow scoffs at it and says love is nothing but words and no action, and she leaves. And then Jiminy comes upon him and frees him, and telling him Snow can't remember who he is if she can't remember who she is, and asks him what could make her remember and to approach things differently. And then we see the queen and her guard riding along the road, and Snow is following them to the vantage point and shoots the arrow, but Charming jumps in front of it at the last second and takes the blow to his shoulder right above his heart. Snow demands to know why he did it. He says, because you wanted action, and tells her that he'd rather die than let her fall into darkness. And Snow begins to relent, saying that no one would ever die for her, and he says, no one you can remember. And she kind of kisses him out of curiosity and regains her memory and becomes her normal self. But right at that moment, George's army arrives and captures Charming, and Snow says she'll find him. So that a few times fast. Then she returns to the dwarf's cottage and apologizes, They welcome her back, but she says she can't stay as she needs to rescue Charming, and Grumpy and the dwarves tell her they're going to go with her. Then, near the end, Rumple picks a hair off of Charming's off of the cloak that he got from him and puts it into a bottle that also contains Snow's hair. The two glow and intertwine, and Rumple places the bottle on the shelf because he is now bottled love. And that is Fairy Tale Land.
So,
So,
did anyone get the impression as you watched the episode a second, third, 20th time that when he says that arrow always gets its target, he knew damn well who it was going to hit?
yes, I did. I thought the same thing.
Absolutely, he knew exactly where that arrow was going, and he wanted that so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's. He even says this, and I've noticed this. I had some notes on it in my little like notebook thingy about a couple of these episodes where he says something, and he's not lying, but the person he's saying it to interprets it totally differently.
Yep.
Like he says to her, it never misses its target, and it will get her what she needs. And what she needs is to remember who she is and to fall back in love with Charming.
Oh, I thought it
but
was just a massive plot hole of of him saying it's got perfect aim, and it didn't.
No, it had perfect aim, all right.
Damn it, Rumple. Read the warranty on this thing.
So, Jesse, do you want to do Storybrooke?
Okay, Storybrooke. Emma takes mugshots of Mary Margaret saying she believes that she didn't kill Catherine, but, like, she has to do her duty as the sheriff. And Mary Margaret goes along with her despite, protesting that she'd never hurt anyone. Emma takes Mary Margaret to a separate room to interrogate her, and Regina is there as a third-party witness. Mary Margaret identifies the box the heart was found in as her jewelry box and insists someone is trying to frame her. Regina tells her she understands how it feels to lose a loved one and that doing so changed her. Emma tells Regina to stay out of the questioning, and Regina asks her if there's been a break-in at their apartment, since that's the only way someone could have taken her box. Emma searches her and Mary Margaret's apartment looking for evidence of a break-in, and Henry shows up to help. And Emma discovers a hunting knife wrapped in a hand hidden in the floor. It's her hand too.
Wrapped in a ham.
Wrapped in a hand. She discovers a hunting knife wrapped in a handkerchief, and it's hidden in a grate below the floor. Henry gets hot chocolate at Granny's, the kid version of drinking, I guess, because people just go there and
yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
Well, not for nothing. I mean, all the characters that can drink go to Granny's as well. So I mean, it's just kind of dehydrated.
You either go there to drink alcoholic beverages, hot chocolate, or stare at Red's ass. Those are the three options that you go there.
Those are our three best drinks.
All three.
So this sounds like every diner in New York?
Yes.
Anyway,
I need to go more.
I
need to go to more diners. I'm just saying.
Anyway, August comes and talks to him, and he suggests Henry look in the book for answers and tells him he thinks the stories are real, and his purpose in town is to help Emma believe. David, we're all as crazy as you, Henry. David comes to talk to Regina about Mary Margaret, and he's sure she's innocent, and Regina tells him he may not know her like he thinks he does. And there's an ironic conversation about knowing evil and how it doesn't seem to be sometimes, which is so funny.
LOL.
LOL, you don't even know. Emma tells Mary Margaret about the knife in the heating vent and says that while she believes she's innocent, she thinks Mary Margaret should hire a lawyer. And Gold walks in right then and offers to represent Mary Margaret. Emma isn't happy about that idea, but Mary Margaret accepts. Mary Margaret asks Gold why he's doing this since she can't pay him, and Gold just says he's invested in the future. David goes to Dr. Hopper and says he needs to remember what happened during his blackouts. Henry shows up at Emma's apartment with Regina's set of skeleton keys as proof of how she could have gotten in to frame her. Emma doesn't believe him, but humors him to try a few, and one opens the door. David's under hypnosis, and Dr. Hopper asks him about the last time he talked to Catherine. David says he called her cell, and she told him that he and Mary Margaret should be together. David then remembers the conversation between him and Snow in, fairy tale land, and he says, "You can't kill her," and Snow says, "Watch me." So, he's kind of freaking out, and Dr. Hopper wakes him up and asks what he sees, and David runs out because you can't just tell the psychiatrist. That would kind of be damning evidence. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
David goes to see Mary Margaret and tells her about the memory he saw, asking why he would have it. And she gets upset and says that she stood by him when evidence mounted up, making David look like he was guilty, but she stood by him. And now he's thinking she's capable of murder and, just tells him to get out. She's pissed. Mary
Mm-hmm.
Margaret finds a skeleton key in her jail cell and discovers that it fits her lock. But Emma comes in bringing her breakfast, and so she, hides the key. And Emma tells her that the DNA results of the heart were positive for Catherine, and the case against her can move forward. She also says she thinks Regina's framing her, but she needs to go about things the right way, or things will just get worse for Mary Margaret, and just asks her to have faith in her. Emma then goes to see Gold and asks for his help, saying the only time she's ever won against Regina is when he helped her, and she's willing to go as far as it takes to save Mary Margaret. And then there's a shot of the empty sheriff's office, and Mary Margaret has broken herself out with the skeleton key. Da-da.
Dun dun dun. I love this episode, you guys. Oh my god, I really like this episode a
Hello?
lot. I really liked didn't I mean, I don't know how well you guys know the Snow White like Disney movie, like if you've seen it recently, cuz I have it on DVD cuz I'm a Disney nerd.
Of course you do.
I remember seeing it. Somewhere there is an adorable little 5-year-old Jessie dressed up as Snow White. So
Aww.
you'll never see it. But yeah, I've seen the Snow White.
I thought the setup for Snow being like dark and creepy and not nice was actually really like funny in a way because
Yes.
she's got a red bow in her hair. She's humming with a smile in a song. She has a little bluebird coming to her, and there's a bluebird that she helps out in the movie. And it's just like everything's okay and everything's beautiful and happy. And then whoop, nope. Just kidding, guys. And it was a shock to
I
me
think
too.
the
I
best
was like,
line-
holy crap.
The best line of the whole episode has got to be, "Look what you did to Happy!"
Yes.
Yes. Oh my god, that was fantastic.
There were some great lines in this episode. Oh my god, they were so funny. Like, you are allergic to everything. You know? That was really, I liked that. And then look what you're doing to Happy. That was hilarious. And then Rumple's line later on, like, it's drafty in here.
Yeah, why do you want my cloak? It's drafty in here.
It's drafty.
Ah.
I'm invested in your future.
There's like some of the best stuff in this.
I
And did
love how
anyone think? Sorry, go ahead.
Same scene as the it's drafty. Once again, James takes his sword, pokes it up against Rumple. Rumple's like, yeah, whatever, and just grabs the blade with his hand and moves it away. This is the
Yeah.
second time he's done that, and I think he does it yet again later. It's just like,
Yeah.
does James not get it?
Like,
You know,
swords
I'm
don't
waiting-
do
Yes,
shit
the
to
answer
me,
to that
man.
question is yes. He does not get it. Move on.
I'm,
Next
I'm
question.
waiting for him to take the sword away from him, stab it through himself, pull it out, hand it back, and go, there, Happy.
This is what I'm trying to say. Like, you guys keep saying, "Oh man, the curse is making him into a total idiot." No, he's always been a bit of an idiot. He's just make him a little bit more.
Okay, less of an idiot in Fairy Tale Land.
I will always
And did-
stab you in the chest.
And if you notice, he barges in like Gaston did. He's got some of that real James arrogance.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of an idiot. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
He's handsome. There's got to be something a little wrong with him.
He likes to swashbuckle everywhere.
Yeah, otherwise he'd be a Gary Sue. So I'm all right with him being a little dim sometimes.
I cannot say that I've heard that expression before.
Yeah, a Mary Sue is just
Yeah, I know what a
character.
Mary Sue is.
Yes, Gary.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Anyway.
So, I mean, there was just a lot. This episode, and the next one we'll get to in a minute, really felt like they were trying to cram primary story in, like, not spelling it out or laying it forward, but like piling the hints on
Mm-hmm.
as they're going. And you look back at them and it's, well, wait a minute, yeah, that's obvious now, that's obvious now, that's obvious now. And you start getting this impression, okay, you know, by the time they were doing these episodes, not only had they thought everything through, like we mentioned before, but they were being brazen about it.
Mm-hmm.
They were throwing things in front of your face, and it's like, oh,
And
that's interesting.
that's a sign of good writing. I like that.
Exactly.
And that's what Lost didn't have. Oh crap! I'm really doing a bad job of being Martin. I mean, it was still good, even though it was awful. I like it. It's good. Thumbs up from me. Tea and crumpets.
Lost was
Did
good.
anyone else think that when Snow was ranting, she really sounded like a huge brat? Like
Yes,
some
I
of
loved
like
it.
yeah. Like I remember reading when we get to the episode with young Snow, which will be soon. I remember reading that young Snow wasn't meant to be, super pure and innocent. That she was supposed to be a little bit, like a little spoiled, and just like thinking about that made me like, well, yeah, she had turned out totally differently because some of that's there, you know.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I did get a little tiny hint of a whiny crybaby vibe out of young Snow. But she told me.
The huntsman must have rubbed off on her.
Yeah.
Animals are so sad when they die.
Aww.
Eh.
But yeah, I mean, we'll get to that. I think we actually get to that next recording. We have episode 18, but
Getting
we'll
pretty
get to
close.
that whole thing when we get there.
Yeah.
And speaking of brats, I think Henry was so bratty when he walked into Emma's apartment.
You mean when he
He walks
breathed?
in and she's like, "You should be in school," and he's like, "I'm not going."
Yeah, I just,
Nah.
how does, okay, the only defense I have against that is, does it really matter if he goes to school? His teacher's in jail.
No one's
Yeah, but
teaching the
still.
class. The kids just go to school every day,
Well-
just sit there.
Well, it's a stagnant town. Where are they
Jesse,
going
you
to get
have a
those
lot of
substitutes?
faith. Jesse, you have a lot of faith in kids that they would just sit there and not do anything.
Yeah.
Oh, they'd sit there. That not do anything part? Yeah, forget that.
Yeah.
We'd sit at our
doubt that
desks.
they would sit.
Oh, no, we did. And we'd make paper airplanes and we'd throw them at each other and we'd make
Right, because you thought that
spitballs.
the teacher was going to walk back in. If your teacher was in jail, that's different.
No, it's because you can't fold paper airplanes while you're running around the room screaming. That came later in the day.
I didn't know you had a teacher that was in jail, John. I'm sorry for not being able to relate to your situation.
When I first saw the episode, because bear in mind we don't know who August is yet and what he's doing there.
Right.
His conversation with Henry was so confusing at first because, he's basically like, yeah, I know what's going on. And you're just like, well, how? How does he know? Who is he? Did he write the book? Like, did he not? Like, this,
Yeah.
I know it proves that he knows, but, why? How? Where? Oh no, I just lost my mic.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm a genius. Anyway, but then like watching it over again, it makes so much sense now. Now that I actually know what happens and know what's going on, like it doesn't confuse me anymore, but it makes so much more sense. And I actually missed, well, the first time watching it, I missed the significance of him saying that he was here for Emma. To like somehow I didn't remember that for future episodes that he said that his purpose there was to help her believe. I totally missed it somehow. I don't know why. And I'm like, that's so
I don't-
important. How'd I not remember?
Yeah, I have no idea how you missed that. I got that, but that's what kept leading me to thinking he was the book author.
Yeah.
With my theory that like he was a Grimm basically.
Mhm.
A death omen?
It's still possible that he could have written at least some of the book.
Well, we know he wrote one chapter because he put it in there. We watched him do it.
Well, yeah, that's true. And also in Storybook, Gold shows up at awfully convenient times, don't you think? Mary Margaret
Well,
talks
Gold-
like she needs a lawyer, and oh, hi guys.
Gold is manipulating this whole entire episode. I mean,
Mhm.
every time something happens, he's engineering it. And
You
this
know what,
carries on through the
Rumple's
next few episodes too. Is every time you turn around, there he is, just with a little smile, and something's
Mhm.
happening, and he knew before, and he knows
That's
after.
because
And
he's invested in the future.
yeah,
I liked the parallel that they drew there with the two.
Yeah,
He
it's
said
not the
that
first time that
within
they've
in
done
Fairy
something like
Tale
that,
and
but yeah, it's
yeah,
cool.
and I think I know I don't buy into this, but I know quite a few people. I've seen people online commenting that they do, that the two timelines are concurrent at this point, and
Mhm.
I don't believe that at all. I don't see how that could be possible because you'd have characters that wouldn't be able to remember, so to speak, because
Yeah, no, it
future events
happened in
haven't
the
happened.
past.
Right, exactly. But this is, I think, incidents like that are where people get the idea that no, these timelines are happening at the same time, and things said over here, mindsets and effects are bleeding over back and forth, and this is why the two timelines are running together, and that's why Fairy Tale Land is destroyed, and when the two timelines come together, they've merged into Storybook when he brings magic back at the end of season one.
If
I've
that
seen
was the
people suggest
case,
this.
though, I mean, if that was the case, that would be a kind of plot twist that would be kind of depressing, if anything. It's like,
Yeah, a little.
I wouldn't like it if the show did that. A lot of plot twists, it's like, oh, that would be neat, but that would just be kind of like,
Yeah,
well,
I don't think I'd
Yeah, and it
like
doesn't
that
really
either.
make sense because it's kind of it's telling two stories, but all of this is supposed to lead up to the curse that hits the town. So it wouldn't make any sense if they were concurrent.
Exactly. But
It's just
there are
neat
people
little
out there.
character, you know, call like throwbacks to each other. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
it's supposed
And
to be,
actually, to your point,
good,
John,
right?
Rumpelstiltskin is manipulating everything in Fairy Tale Land at this point too.
Yes, he is.
For this episode,
And the next couple as well. Well,
yeah. So this is just
at
these
least the
episodes
next
can
one.
just be called Rumpel manipulates.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean
we should
that's the name of
title
the
it-
show?
That too.
More or less.
Once upon a Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, the Rumpelstiltskin is real.
All right, shall we move on to the next episode?
I think so. Oh wait, one more point. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Proven that we weren't sure this last time. Proven that David actually did make the phone call and Regina didn't make it up.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Oh, and one point for me is that we find in this episode that we've been remembering things wrong regarding Red taking off the cloak and turning into the wolf.
Oh, wait.
That scene, yeah, that was clearly
Yeah.
after they
Yes.
ran
Yeah,
away.
it's
from the scene.
definitely after.
Now there still are two versions of that one scene, and they don't quite mesh. But there aren't three versions of that scene. I thought
Right.
that there were three versions, and I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
For a while I did too, and I'm I'd love to watch them side by side. And I watched the first two together, and yeah, they're awfully similar, and they diverge, and that was weird. And I knew the third one was coming up, but watching it, yeah, it's clearly very different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now when we're looking for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mike, you get to hate on David a little bit because I'm surprised you didn't bring this up first, but he's under hypnosis. He has the memory of Snow of him saying "Don't kill her." Snow has long hair, and she looks completely different than Mary Margaret because of just the haircut alone. And she's dressed completely differently, and he still thinks it's her.
Well, I mean, to be fair, maybe he was just looking at her boobs the entire time.
That
like
is
a-
true. He is male.
Yes.
No. Hang on. Snow has boobs. Mary Margaret doesn't really dress booby.
He must have noticed. He was just too distracted. He was
Maybe
like,
he was.
"Oh, this is lovely."
She's like, wow, when did that happen?
Oh, she wants to kill
Everything's
someone.
different.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like-
really, in his defense, I think he was just freaking out because it looks like her and she's saying these things. And
Also,
it
I
makes
doubt it was
sense.
as clear in his mind
As it is.
it was. Yeah, for us.
Yeah, we were seeing it on a nice screen with,
HD perhaps for some people.
HD one. So,
Yeah, I watched
Well-
in HD.
Mike, I gave you the opportunity, and you missed it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that he's an idiot. I mean, he's been an idiot since episode 1 when he decided, hey, sword fight with a baby. Great idea.
Oh, come on. That was awesome. He kicked ass.
It was
Best
still
thing
a
in
stupid
television.
idea.
Oh, come on. I was waiting for him to take the baby, throw the baby up in the air, twirl, kill like 8 guards, and then
Alright.
catch the baby.
That
in
would
the
have been
hand and
amazing.
kick
I
them
would have
all.
loved that.
I'll,
Like,
I'll
I
tell
would-
you what. I'll tell you what. If you ever have a baby and I have a sword,
No!
we'll babysit for you.
Be the best babysitter ever.
Here,
We'll
baby.
see how that
This is a
goes.
sword. Here's how you stab people with it. Gagoo.
Here's your bottle. Oh no, that's the wrong thing.
That's a sword. I get those confused sometimes. Now, where did I put that bottle? And it's like in his hilt.
All right, so episode 17, hat trick.
Mike, it's all
Alright,
yours.
so I
And I just got something. Okay, I might be wrong, but it's a hat trick because it's his hat trick. But is it also a hat trick because there's 3 of them? There's Regina, her father, and
oh.
Good one, Jesse.
Well,
We're understanding so just mind explosion
Maybe
everywhere.
maybe it's because Martin's not here.
We can all think the smart things before he thinks of them. This is nice. This is nice.
Yeah,
He
Lost
steals
was
all the
good.
smarts.
Okay, all
This
right.
must be what he feels like when he discovers smart things. It's a funny feeling. It's like my brain is fuzzy.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
Okay, Lost was good. 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 It really wasn't, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Lost was good.
And then
Okay.
the finale. So, Mike, go
Yes.
ahead and start.
Tell us about
YouTube
this.
comments. No. Okay, so Fairy Tale Land for hat trick. Jefferson and his daughter are playing hide and go seek in the woods. Her name is Grace, and throughout the episode, you actually hear him refer to her as his Grace, which I think is on purpose. Like my Grace, Your Majesty, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, so and they're trying to they're pretty clearly poor because they're kind of like scavenging for mushrooms or something, and then they see the queen's carriage outside of their house, and he says, Grace, go away, mommy and daddy need to talk. And then they go and talk to or he goes and talks to Regina.
Also, just because he's looking for mushrooms, doesn't maybe they're just going organic. Maybe they eat whole foods. They're just trying to get healthier.
Or maybe they're poor and you're just making fun of them because
Or
they can't
maybe
eat foods.
shut the fuck up. Continue.
Clearly, Regina and Jefferson have met each other before, so they're like talking to each other with first names and stuff, and she wants him to do something for her. Ooh, and he says he doesn't do that anymore.
How can I get him to taste my forbidden fruit?
Oh God.
I ship it.
And she basically pressures him into doing it, and he says no. And she leaves, I believe. And then they go to the market later on, and Grace wants a doll of some sort, right? Or a toy.
A white
A white
rabbit,
rabbit.
actually.
White rabbit, right?
Because
That's
it's the Mad Hatter.
okay. She wants a white rabbit. He says no, we're too poor. Or no. He tries heckling with the heckling is it no
Haggling.
haggling. Sorry, words that I don't use
Haggling
often.
versus haggling.
He starts heckling her.
Words
Boo!
and think and
Boo!
stuff.
You're the worst.
Rabbits suck! Rabbits suck.
So he starts haggling with the old lady who's selling the white rabbit, and she says no, and so he walks off. And actually, pretty maturely, the Grace is like, it's okay, no big deal. If it was realistic, she would be like, I want a rabbit. Ah! Do that, and then you find out, dramatic reveal, the old hag is the queen. Ooh. So he decides that he needs the money. He goes and meets Regina in the castle, and agrees to do it under the condition that Grace will be taken care of. And so he activates the hat. They go into the hat.
You've activated my hat card.
There was a magical hats track,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
Magical
It had 3 hats.
hats.
It was a hat trick.
pretty
All
much,
the
I mean, that's pretty much what the card's effect was too. I really am Martin today.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Anyways, so so you see them in a room with a whole bunch of doors, and that's making people like us go crazy because there's so many implications for this, and it clearly
All the different timelines.
it's like a
Yeah.
different. It's like some sort of interdimensional,
Nexus.
Yes, and they go into the one that is Wonderland. It's the Looking Glass, and he says that he hates Wonderland because there's a stoner there.
I found that so funny. The Mad Hatter goes in. He says, "I hate Wonderland."
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, I haven't actually seen Alice in Wonderland, so if
Or
I
Reddit.
right, so if I read it,
I thought of Reddit too, actually. Internet.
And here's actually a reference that you won't get, Mike, that you should know. There is a sequel that was written to Alice in Wonderland called Through the Looking Glass, where she does go back to
That
Wonderland
sounds
through
familiar.
a looking glass.
Really?
yeah,
Yes.
that does seem familiar. That's why I used the term Looking
Oh.
Glass because I knew that was something to do with that.
I say it because I'm looking through glass. I'm like, looking glass.
So
Or look, glass.
Regina and Jefferson enroll in the Triwizard Tournament and get to the third task where there's a labyrinth of bushes. Sorry. Regina and Jefferson find a labyrinth made of hedges, and they need to get through it, and they find that if you touch the hedges, you get sucked up into them, so that's bad. So Regina cheats and blows them all to hell. And they walk to where they need to go. She grabs an item, and while they're about to leave, they get noticed by guards. They have a fight scene, and they get through it just fine. And then they're about to leave Wonderland, and they get to the Looking Glass, and she pauses for a second, and the Mad Hatter's like, "Wait, what are you doing?" She said, "Just a moment, I need a snack." Tickles the underbelly of a mushroom or something. That's kind of what it looked like. She picks off a little bit from
She
a
wants to
mushroom.
go organic too.
She wants to tickle the mushroom. I don't know.
Oh, she doesn't. He doesn't do that anymore.
He doesn't
Still
do
does.
that anymore.
How do I get to continue?
Oh.
I'm going to
That's-
ignore this.
I didn't say that. Jesse did. I want to go on record that was not me.
Me, I am the most innocent friggin' ever.
So she grabs a little bit from the mushroom and puts it in the box that she had grabbed from the labyrinth, and poof, her dad is there. He must have eaten a bit of the mushroom, and he was revived, and he must have been in the box. And you
I
find
love
out that when she was saying the entire episode that she had something stolen from her by the Queen of Hearts, that it was her dad. And earlier we also found out that only the same amount of people who go through the Looking Glass one way can go back. So he realizes that he's going to be double crossed here, and she roots him to the spot and tells him that he's a horrible father, and then
Is it
she leaves
Regina?
with her dad.
Is it Regina who does that? I was confused
Yes.
about that.
Yes, she
Yeah.
does.
Oh, I thought the
Yeah.
Red Queen of Hearts. That's
No,
Queen.
the Red
thought
Queen,
she-
the Queen of Hearts doesn't really. She whispers
much.
through a
Yeah, she's very creepy. Like
Yeah.
I like her. She's different, but like
Yeah, I want to
creeps
see
me out.
if we find out who she is.
Mhm.
It's actually
Very-
Dr. Wet.
And it's Dr.
It's Emma.
Oh, Mike, because you haven't seen it, so you don't know. The food in Wonderland affects your size. So there are foods that make you tiny, and there are foods that make you huge, and that's what they were referencing when she took the mushroom and gave it to him. He was tiny in the box.
Oh, I didn't get that. Oh,
You guys, oh my god, you guys.
I
Alice-
don't get smart.
I forget which book it's in, but Alice ends up in a room, and there are two things labeled "Eat Me" and "Drink Me," and one makes you bigger and one makes you smaller.
It's Alice in Wonderland.
It is in Wonderland. Okay.
There's a bunch of
I
stuff
found
in
out
Alice.
hat trick. Okay, I've done my smart thing for the day. One
There
step.
are several instances of her in Wonderland, in Alice in Wonderland, the book and the movie, where she eats something and it affects how big or small she is. And so there are a couple of
Well,
spots
I
where
guess
she
we
has
have a
to.
solution to the whole Viagra thing now.
I was trying to make a Viagra joke and I had no idea how to do it. There you go. I was
Now, see, this is
pondering-
where Mike is not Martin.
We are perfect for each other, Jess. We really are. We complement each other. When you can't make the vulgar joke, I do, and vice versa.
So
Um,
there's always a vulgar joke.
all right. So, anyways, uh, okay. So, he gets double crossed. Jefferson gets double crossed, and Regina and her dad go through the Looking Glass. Jefferson gets brought to the Queen of Hearts. Almost said king, and it has a kind of a back and forth with her. She's kind of crazy, and no, it wasn't direct. She was speaking to a
Translator, dude.
translator person. Not really a translator. She was clearly speaking English.
Mhm.
It
But
was her megaphone, basically.
Squire, would that be?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Squire. Why does that sound like a Pokemon? Um,
Wow.
and so he has a back and forth with her, and clearly, like she doesn't like Regina because at the mention of her name as the queen, uh,
Mhm.
she gets all pissed off. So that's something of note that might be brought into something later if we do
Mhm.
ever revisit the Queen of Hearts. And she loses her temper with him, says off with his head, and CGI effects happen, and his head is off of his body, and it's being dangled, and they kind
Are
of
all
spend
queens just bitches? Like,
Mhm.
I'm
they
not
spent,
Yep.
hearing about any friggin' nice queens.
they spent about like a minute to 2 minutes, and I noticed this time around of just showing, hey look, his head is detached.
Look
Hey
at our
guys,
technology.
look at this, his head is detached. Hey guys, look,
But
he's
you're
saying.
missing he's still alive.
Right, right, and he's still alive. Well, you understand that they were just trying to get that message across, and they took like a minute or more of screen time of just saying, "Hey, look, here's it from his perspective. Here's it from this perspective. Here's it from this perspective. Here's him saying some words. Here's him saying some words again."
You're,
We
you're
got the
describing it
technology
as though it's
queens.
one of those 3D movies where they sit there and they reach out at the audience and they
Yeah, it was
Whoa! Look
kind of
how
like
focus
that.
at the audience.
look how off of his body his head is. Look at it.
And pretty
Anyway,
much, for some reason, the Queen of Hearts wants Jefferson to recreate the hat, which is interesting. Wondering, why her motives would want her to leave Wonderland.
well, anyway, just finish up the summary so then we can get to
Well, that's
that.
pretty much it. He just tries to make the hat work, or tries to make a hat rather, because he doesn't have his hat. He used the hat to get there, and he needs to make a hat to go back. And you see him go nuts.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
it
so
seems
sad.
yeah. It seemed to me that basically she was curious how he got there, and when he said that he had a hat, she got really curious. And yeah, like why would she why would she want to leave Wonderland? But at the same time, if she's not usually aware of anything other than, the looking glass that leads out to that portal, which maybe she isn't, you never know.
Well, no, she has to be because remember, Regina said that the Queen of Hearts captured her father.
Yeah, so maybe she didn't realize there was another way to get there.
Yeah, and an interesting thing of note. How did Regina's father enter without anybody else going?
Yeah, that too. There's a limit on the hat, but clearly there isn't a limit on whatever other means of travel she has.
Yep.
Right. Right.
There's actually some speculation. I don't know if this is, you know, still speculation or not, but I remember this when the episode aired that there was a possibility that the Queen of Hearts might be what happened to Cora, Regina's mother. That maybe she banished her to
Oh.
Wonderland and she like maybe went crazy or something.
I like that. I like that because that would be why, why else would they not show her face? I mean, unless it was like that in Alice in Wonderland.
No,
No,
it
I
wasn't.
think that well, maybe Regina might have gotten. Do we know why when Snow shoots the arrow, if she were to kill Regina, she would become as evil as her? Because I was getting the
Because
impression that Regina killed her mom, and then she became as evil as her mom. But
Right. Well, we don't know
that's
that
another
yet.
rumor. Yeah, that's another speculation. I don't
And
know.
one other thing that might shoot a hole through the Queen of Hearts theory:
Hmm.
why would she keep Henry locked up rather than, I mean, they are married.
Fate.
Yeah, but he's pretty much
Because
loyal to her.
and
Regina, I mean.
she is Daddy's little girl. So
Maybe,
by
but I mean,
taking
like,
him, shrinking him, and shoving him in a box, you guarantee Regina's going to come looking.
but
for him.
honestly, I mean, I didn't in the scenes that we have seen of Cora and Henry.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on the
He's
rest
always
of
too
it.
timid really to do it, and he doesn't really seem like it's oh, I really want to side with Regina, but I'm too there's really no tension there, honestly, not a lot. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
some
I
more
don't think it's
thinking to
her,
do.
but it's a neat theory.
yeah, oh yeah, I like it though. I like the theory. That could be really cool.
I have an idea about the murder. I think that just murdering in cold blood to them would be like an ultimate act of evil. And then once you do that, there's no turning back. That's a real fairy tale thing, you know?
Yeah,
But, it could be that. Because I've come across that theme in other fantasy oriented
Wait,
books and
what are
stuff
we talking
before.
about? I don't understand.
Like the Snow, because Jesse asked about Snow, why she would go evil once she killed
You mean Regina?
Regina. And I said
Wait, hold on a second. Hold
that
on. Hold on. Whoa. Why Snow would go evil when she killed Regina?
Yeah, with
yes,
because
the
the
remember
arrow.
previous episode.
in the
Okay.
previous episode, because she was talking about how Jesse was talking about how she thought that maybe Snow killing Cora, I mean, Regina killing Cora was how she became truly evil, which is a totally valid theory, which would shoot a hole in Queen of Hearts thing, etc. But it's interesting because I just said that I've come across that kind of theme where killing someone in cold blood like that is the ultimate act of evil, where they like in Harry Potter, Mike, that's how you rip your soul
Yeah.
apart. So it's
That is a
and
reference, I understand. I get
so
that.
it's not a new idea that cold-blooded murder is the worst thing you can do. So anyway, should we go to Storybrooke?
Sure. So Storybrooke opens with a shot of Mary Margaret, no longer in jail. She's now running through the forest, and I'm going to get back to that. Why the forest? Why always the forest? Um, Henry is sitting at the sheriff's office. Emma and Gold come back, and he thinks this is an amazing plan, and they really don't know what she's talking about. Or I should say, Emma has no idea what he's talking about. Gold pretends he has no idea what what he's talking about. And Gold goes in, and oddly enough, he's like, "Oh, yep, she's not here." Emma goes in, she's gone. And because her arraignment's the next morning, if she doesn't find her, she'll be a fugitive, and now it doesn't matter whether she's guilty or not. Fugitive of justice, you're going to jail no matter what. So Emma takes off to look for her. Emma's driving down the road to the forest. Again, the forest. Always the forest. And it's dark. It's kind of a little foggy. It's raining. It's hard to see. And all of a sudden, there's someone on the side of the road. She nearly hits him. She swerves. He dumps onto the ground. And she stops. And they introduce themselves. And she, "Oh, I'm out here looking for a dog." "Yeah." And, "Oh, okay." And he starts limping away. "I'll just walk home." She's, "Well, no, I'll give you a ride. I made you fall over. I made you hurt yourself. I'll give you a ride home." And so she drives him home, and he lives in this enormous, monstrous house. How she had no idea this house didn't exist is beyond me.
Hmm.
But she pulls up. "Wow, your family. You must have quite a family." And he's, "No, it's just me." And she helps him inside, and he makes tea and sets out a map and says, "Oh yeah, I'm an amateur cartographer. Maybe this map will help you." And she starts looking at it, and she starts getting woozy, having trouble with her sentences, starts swaying, and he's, "Oh, something wrong?" She's, "Yeah, I don't know." And he, "Here, let me help you." And he leads her over to the couch, sets her down on the couch, and he goes to walk away, and she notices he's not limping anymore. She's like, "Wait a minute." He's, "Oh yeah, well, I guess you caught me." And boom, out she goes. She wakes up, and she's tied up with duct tape, and she's gagged, and she looks around, doesn't see anyone, doesn't hear anything, kind of takes the pillow, puts it over the teacup, which is still sitting on the floor where she dropped it from when she passed out, puts it down, crushes it, uses that to cut the duct tape, and undoes herself, gets up, and she tries getting out the various windows, and none of the windows will open, and they just don't open at all. And there's a telescope sitting there. She looks through the telescope, and it's pointing at the sheriff's office. She's, And then she hears something out in the corner, out in the hallway, and she goes and she looks, and across the hall there's another room, and Jefferson's sharpening this large pair of scissors. And So she thinks, okay, he's going to come stab me. I better get out of here. So she sneaks out into the hall, sneaks down the hallway, makes a tiny little noise. She freezes. She isn't sure if he heard her or not. So she sneaks into the next room, turns around, and Mary Margaret's tied up in the chair, bound and gagged. So she frees Mary Margaret. And how did you get here? Mary Margaret says, oh, well, I was running through the forest, and out of nowhere, this guy grabbed me, and I he took me here. And she, well, how did you get out of jail? Oh, there was a key in my cell. It fit the lock. I don't understand why it was there. And they go to sneak out. They're partway down the hallway, and ahead of them, oops, Jefferson's standing in the hall, and he's got a gun. And Emma tries to bluff him and say, oh, well, I've got backup coming. He's, no, you know what, you don't, and I know you don't. And because you don't want anyone to know that you're here looking for her, because then you have to admit she was here, and no, I'm not buying any of that. So you're going to tie her back up now. So he forces Emma to tie Mary Margaret back up, and she says, just trust me on this. Please trust me. I'll figure something out. And she asks Jefferson why he's been watching her. And he says, well, you're special. I need you to do something. And Emma warns him, if you hurt Mary Margaret, you'll regret it. And he says, no, I'm saving her life. I'm not hurting her at all. And she goes, well, what do you mean saving it? He says, what about leaving Storybrooke? We all know what happens when people leave Storybrooke. We all know that's bad. And she asks if he's been reading Henry's book, and he means, he goes, Henry? Reaching his father? And she goes, no, her son. He goes, oh, you mean your son? And he says, I know the truth. And I've been trapped here for 28 years knowing the truth. And then you come here, and the clock ticks, and things change, and you brought magic, and you're going to help me. And she, at this point, decides, okay, he's starting to babble about magic. He's nuts, and asks him what he wants. He says, you have to get it to work, and sits her down, and there's all these materials in front of her, and he doesn't really explain. He's going, you're going to make it work. And she kind of stares at it. What do you want me to do? Is make it work. She looks around. Hats. Yes, hat. And she looks at the materials, and Jefferson starts putting other things down, and he says, you're going to make a hat like those. And she realizes, oh, you think you're the Mad Hatter. He goes, think. No. And then they get into this conversation about stories, and what are stories really, and what is history but a bunch of stories read in a book, and what is magic, and how can you say magic isn't real? So he says, flat out, you and Mary Margaret are not leaving until you make that hat work. And she says that she'll try, but she can't do it. And she says, I don't get it. How can you even say you're cursed? Look at what you have. And he says, well, there's one person I love, and she's been taken from me. And this is the same as everyone. And there's another telescope in the room. He says, look through this. And she sees the little girl having dinner at her house with her family. And he says, her name's Paige. She doesn't know her name's Paige. She thinks her name's Grace. But her name's Paige. And she's my daughter.
Other way around. Her name's Grace, but she's...
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. And he says, she has no idea who she is, but I do. And that's my curse. I remember, and I know, and I can't have what I want, and I'm trapped. And I can't tell her, because if she knows, her entire faith in reality would be destroyed, and that would just... I can't do that to her. And all I want is to get out of here and go home and take her home. And Emma comments, yeah, I know what it feels like to be separated from your child and your family. And Mary Margaret, if all this magic stuff is true, she's my mother. And, what you say is true. And maybe I do need to look at it differently and open my mind to this. And maybe you're right. Maybe I can do this. Maybe it is magic. And Jefferson feels confident he's finally got her convinced, and he steps away from her toward the table to get the hat, and she turns around and she picks up the telescope and pow! Cold cocks the poor bastard. And throws the thing down. You crazy son of a bitch. So she goes and runs down the hall to free Mary Margaret, and just as she's freeing her, Jefferson comes running in, and Mary Margaret starts screaming, "Oh, look out!" And they start fighting, and the gun goes flying, and they're throwing around, and he finally grabs the gun and pulls it up on Emma, and Mary Margaret takes a croquet mallet, bonk, hits him on the back of the head, and he stumbles and boom, out the window.
Yeah, he like she kicks him out the window, and it's so badass.
Yeah.
Ninja kicks him. And they both run to the window and look down, and there's just a hat. No body, no blood, no clothes, no splat mark, just a hat. And they run outside, and Emma says, "Where did you learn to do that?" She's like, "I have no idea where that came from."
And we're like, we do.
Yeah, we do. So they get outside, and Mary Margaret asks why it's so important for Emma to help her, and Emma says, "Well, there's no one been there for me except for you, and that you're really my family at this point." And Mary Margaret has the keys to the bug now because Emma had given them to her and said leave, and she looks at them and hands them back, and you hear bonging off in distance. They both look at each other. Oh no, it's time. Regina's going to come to the sheriff's office. And they flash back, and Regina pulls up, parks, notices the sheriff's car isn't there, Emma's car's not there, no car's there for the sheriff. And she walks in, she's feeling all happy, and she turns the corner and walks in, and Mary Margaret's sitting there reading the newspaper about how much of a horrible bitch she is. And she stops and stares. Gold steps out from nowhere, camera angle, and says, "Oh, my client isn't receiving any visitors right now. I'll walk you out." And Regina gives this really dirty look, and they walk down the hallway. She says, "Why is she here?" And Gold says, "Well, what can I say?" She said, "You said she would take the key, and she would free herself, and she would run." He goes, "Well, she did. She came back. Emma brought her back." Regina is really seething at this point and says that the only reason she made any deal with Gold, and they don't really comment on what the deal is at this point, is because she wanted results. And Gold says, "Oh, you'll get results. You'll see at the arraignment." And realistically, the results are already happening. This is another one of his stupid little things where, yeah, there are results, all right. They're just not the ones
You just want the ones you want.
And then Emma shows up at Henry's school and sits down, and she's just talking to him for a second, and this girl named Paige walks by, and Henry says hello back when she says hello, and she goes, "Who? Wait, can I see your book?" Henry looks at her, "Really?" Pulls the book out, hands it to her, and she flips through, finds the Mad Hatter story, looks at the girl in there, looks at the girl walking up in school, I guess this just completely incredulous look on her face, goes, "Can I hang on to the book?" And Henry gets all excited, big happy face. "Sorry, Martin." And he goes, "Yes, definitely." But
He says the curse is real, and he does a backflip, and reality just breaks.
And she sits there and she starts reading through the story, and that ends the storybook side.
And I can hear Martin's rant now.
Okay, I guess I'll have to step in for him, because if Martin
How
were
did the
here
Mad Hatter come
today,
back? How did
Okay.
Jefferson come back?
okay, Martin would say to that, "I hate you, Henry. Tea and crumpets. Lost is good."
No,
Okay.
I
Best
know that he
question.
would like the whole thing with them only seeing the hat at the end there was so cool because it was so many questions like, did the hat work? Did he go to Fairy Tale Land? Like, is that really what happened, or did he? Because we didn't even hear him hit the ground, and and then he just magically shows up in the finale with no explanation. And
Yeah, but you know what? That's entirely plausible at this point, because the big problem with him escaping Storybrooke is there's no real magic. So the hat can't work. But there's plenty of magic in Fairy Tale Land. He just needs another hat.
Well, it was Emma making it, so maybe a little magic happened.
Exactly. It was just enough for him to get out and end up in Fairy Tale Land. And once he's in Fairy Tale Land, he can say, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back. I have a few thousand vendettas back there, and I'm gonna go cash a few of them in now. And he
And the
probably just
thing,
got another hat, went back to the Nexus, came back, which by the way means if he came back using the hat system, there's a door to Storybrooke in the Nexus.
Well, to
yeah, there
Earth
is.
anyway.
That confuses me though because every Storybrooke character we've ever known is in the real world. So if he goes back to Storytale Land, is he like alone?
Storytale Land.
Storytale Land place
Um,
town?
Well, here's the thing.
maybe.
There's a bunch of different worlds besides Storybrooke, and there's a lot of talk that like the Wonderland people. We haven't seen any of them, so maybe they aren't in. They aren't
Oh,
in
yeah.
Storybrooke at all, and Jefferson is because he was back in Fairy Tale Land at that point. So maybe he went back to Wonderland. I don't know because
Well, there's no magic in Wonderland, or there isn't the right kind of magic in Wonderland. That's why he can't make a new hat, and that's why he gets trapped there. Now, that does leave a plot hole. How did he get out of Wonderland to get back so he could end
I
up
think
in
it's
Storybrooke?
okay. First of all, I think it would be easier to say that we just don't know, and there's not enough evidence to really
I
make a
have a
solid theory.
I have a
Probably
brainstorm on
so.
that. I have a brainstorm.
Okay.
Jefferson is directly tied to Fairy Tale Land, especially with Regina and with his daughter. When part of the curse is that they're separated from people that they love, so Paige's curse is that she doesn't even know. She doesn't know who her real father is, but it would make no sense to bring her to Storybrooke without bringing Jefferson. So
But
maybe
at the
I don't
go
know.
ahead.
I don't know. I mean, it's just something that I thought of right now, so it's definitely flawed, but it's
Well, it just seems that in order for the curse to affect a person like Jefferson, he'd have to be within range of the curse. So
yeah.
either the curse got Wonderland, or he wasn't in Wonderland anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, cuz he is the only, quote unquote Wonderland character that we've seen so far, aside from the
Yeah.
potential white rabbit that Jesse saw or noticed in the montage with the candles.
Yes, he is the
This is
White
true.
Rabbit. The White Rabbit's like married apparently. Meta, a female rabbit.
Yeah, I honestly really liked how we didn't really know what Jefferson's deal was at first. Like, he was kind of creepy, but he could have easily just been a different person that she helped out, and then he knocked her out. Never mind. Oh, and by the way, Mike, because, Mr. Sex over there, did you notice how significantly less Emma was clothed when she woke up?
Yes, yes, I commented
Whoa,
on
are
that.
you Mike? I'm sorry.
I love references. No, it was Mike didn't I commented when we flashed back and her like jacket was off. I was like, whoa, I guess Jefferson had some fun while
Yeah.
But Mary Margaret wasn't. Like, she was fully clothed. He didn't take her
Well,
he
jacket
must
off.
not have found her attractive.
it's the hair, you know.
It's the super punk.
He wanted to taste the pumpkin.
Pumpkin
Oh,
pie.
Yeah.
But how do I get her
Jefferson's
to taste
gonna
my
have himself
forbidden
some
pumpkin
good old
pie?
pumpkin pie.
Okay, as resident Martin for the episode, I have to say, oh Lord.
um. Also, did anyone? I thought this was really interesting. In Fairy Tale Land, everyone, like, number one, everyone, even Grace is afraid of Regina at this point. She clearly has like a bad reputation, and to me, that wasn't really as much of a hint that not only was she like a massive bitch, but everybody knew it. But now it seems like everybody knows that Regina is someone to be feared. If even if they haven't had dealings with her previously. But
I have a
also,
feeling
she
that
and Jeff. Sorry.
I was going to say that I have a feeling that soon after Henry, not Henry, Snow's dad died,
Mhm.
uh, and she took over and everything, I have a feeling that it became pretty apparent pretty quickly that she was an evil queen.
Mhm. I also noticed, and to that point too, though, Jefferson doesn't call her or, Your Majesty or anything. He calls her Regina. They're on first name terms. which kind of makes me wonder how they met and where and what that circumstance was.
They're exes.
Grace's yeah, Grace's mom is actually Regina. That's why I said you made him lose her mother. Dun.
Wow. You know what? If that actually happens, that would be kind of weird, but kind of cool at the same time.
It'd be wool.
It'd be wool.
It would be wool.
Cool plus weird equals
Yes.
wool.
That's why sheep are so awesome. They're all wool.
Did you guys
Okay.
notice too? The portal that the hat does, like with the tornado and everything, it looks like a small version of the curse that brought them the Storybrooke, and that might be coincidence. It might not. I mean, it's
Oh,
like
you mean the
curse
purple smoke?
rolled in like it wasn't a tornado, but the once it swirled around the castle and everything, it was the same kind of smoke. It like spun around them all and everything.
I mean,
don't know,
considering the fact that Lost also had a smoke monster that looked similar-ish,
Oh,
I think
It
it's
is
just.
the
I think
smoke
it's just.
monster.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think it's just their go-to effect. You know.
okay.
We could reuse this footage. Let's just paste it over.
No, the smoke monster wasn't exactly identical. It had its own, attributes, but it was. They like smoke. Is my point.
Smoking. I'm not.
Well,
gonna
okay.
Smoking!
Did you guys? Oh no.
President Martin for the episode. I think I have to.
The portals, the doors. Oh, I forgot to look up theories on what doors were what. I think someone said that there was a door that looked like a normal house door, which could have been a door to Storybrooke if Storybrooke is a different realm, not just fairy tale land becoming it. And then there's a green door that looks like it kind of has like the letters O and Z, which could be Oz. And now we know that there is going to be Oz in season 2 at some point. So maybe we'll see more of that.
Was that confirmed for season 2 though?
I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know if it was confirmed for season 2, but it was confirmed for later on.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned in an article about season 2, but yeah, either
I don't
way.
know. I was.
It's been
I
confirmed
mean, I
either
saw.
way.
I did. I was lame, and I paused repeatedly through that scene, looking at every door I could see. I was disappointed, sadly enough. I wanted to see a door for Monsters Inc.
Yeah, I was just thinking
It's
that.
Boo. Boo comes
that would've
through
been
the
so
door.
cool.
Boo is Dr. Whale.
That would be kind of awesome if Monsters.
That would be
Inc.
very awesome.
Yeah, you know what would be great
Yes.
is that if they got the voice actors to play the live action versions of,
That'd be
of themselves,
amazing.
Sully
Boo
would
is probably like
be.
15 by now.
Kitty, Mike Wazowski.
That's a cute movie.
All right, so I have to go off on a little tangent rant here. Why is it
Okay.
always the forest?
It's
Because
old.
Whenever
that's
someone
dark and
wants to go looking for
mysterious, and
something,
that's-
they run off to the forest. Whenever they want to do something evil, it's off to the forest. Whenever they're fleeing, it's off to the forest. Whenever they want to go pick their nose, it's off to the forest. I mean, it's like,
to
I need
be
to go
fair-
look for Mary Margaret. The first place I'm going to look at this enormous forest. I'm not going to look around town. I'm not going to check our apartment. I'm not going to check the back room at Ruby's where people hide all the time. I'm going to go look in the
Okay,
big
no.
forest.
That's the VIP room at Ruby's. Okay,
That's where Dr. Whale goes all the time. The VIP room at Granny's.
Oh,
And now, on the stage, let's welcome
Oh,
Red
no.
Riding Hood.
Costs you an extra
Beep, beep.
$20.
Well, like, to be fair, John, especially in these past couple of episodes, where would you bury, a heart but in the forest? And, the road that leads out of Storybrooke is bordered by a forest on both sides. And, Mary Margaret, probably wouldn't stick around town when people know she's supposed to be in jail. She'd make a run for it.
Yeah, but it's still, I don't know.
When you guys are watching this for the first time ever, and Emma has the whole thing with Jefferson where she's like, maybe you're right, maybe the woman in the next room might be my mom, and like it's like, yes, oh my god, like, is this finally
Yes.
the moment where she saw it, and then it's like, oh, lol, nope, sorry.
Yeah.
I was so
And then
excited,
there's-
and then she picked up the friggin' telescope, just jacked him in the head, and I was like, no!
Yeah.
When she did that, I burst out into roaring laughter
Yes.
because I was just so impressed. They had hooked us all. I knew everyone had fallen for that because I know I had. We all fell for it. We all were like, yes, and then wham!
Mhm.
Oh, that was
and then
good.
and then at the end it looks like she's buying into it again because she's like, oh wow, this story, and she starts reading it and she looks like fascinated, and you're like, maybe she's like finally reading the book and she's seeing the similarities and everything. And
Yeah.
then it's another 6 episodes before she finally figures it out.
Yeah, I was like, no.
Yeah,
5.
she's a little slow,
Little slowpoke. Hey,
Nice.
guys.
but
And all of the little Alice in Wonderland references, like the croquet bat mallet, whatever it was that
Yep.
Mary Margaret used, that's in Alice in Wonderland.
that's
And
in Alice in Wonderland. Yeah.
the hat, obviously, the tea, obviously, but
Yep.
yeah, just like little like references here and there, which was kind of
Oh,
neat.
and random trivia that I bet there are only 3 or 4 people that listen to this don't already know. Um, if I remember correctly, uh, um, the caterpillar up on the mushroom that the Mad Hatter hates. He kept going, Who are you? Who are you? That was Roger Daltrey from The Who.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, it was a special nod. Now, I
Oh,
remember hearing
really?
about it before the episode came out, and I'm like, oh, wow, the caterpillar. Oh, that means we're going to hear Roger Daltrey in a major character. No, it was a cameo. But still, that's Roger Daltrey that keeps going, Who are you?
Oh, I know there's a point that Martin wanted to make about Jefferson's name. He knows why his name is Jefferson. Because
Okay.
there's a band called Jefferson Airplane, and they have a song
White Rabbit.
called White Rabbit.
Yes. Yes, Jefferson
You have to
Airplane
say
became
crumpets while you
Jefferson
say it,
Starship.
though, if you're gonna be Martin.
Yeah. All right, so do we have anything else? I think that's it. Go ahead,
All
Katie,
right.
close it up.
Well, we're gonna sign off. We are Once Upon a Time fans, and you are listening to The Curse is Real.
Dun dun dun.
I picture like it's
Hey.
Gollum and his 2 personalities. We should edit the episode. No, we mustn't edit the episode.
What is it?
We mustn't.
It's our audio, it is, and we want it.
What's this a
The
reference to?
episode is the precious.
Oh, God.
What's this
All
a-
right.
Wait, hold on. Whoa,
Mike?
whoa. What is this a reference to? I don't get it.
Lord
Harry
of the
Potter.
Rings.
That's why.
Oh,
Because fuck Lord of the Rings. That's why.
because fuck you.
Because
It's
Go
a
into
fuck
the
Lord of the
episode
Rings.
summary before I kill you.
As resident Martin for this episode, I have to say fuck Lord of the Rings, even though that's not
No.
something he would say.
No, he likes Lord of the
Damn
Rings.
tough. I'm just going to. Martin could not be here today, but if he were here, I think he would say,
Lost was
"Fuck
pretty
Lord
good.
of the Rings, they suck."
I am your friend.
I am your friend.